Jessica Frost Ballas here with a video for lawnfawn. Today I'm using the new Give It a Whirl die to create an interactive wedding card. When you spin the circle, it reveals a second scene and it's so easy and fun to create. So let's get started. I start by stamping the arbor, hearts, and mouse couple from Happy Couples with the sentiment from Henry's Build a Sentiment Spring. I also stamp 2 kissing mice from the Christmas before and after set, but mask off the mistletoe. I color my mice with Copic markers E40, 70, and 71. I want to keep them pretty light colored. I lay down my lightest shade first and then add shadows with my darkest shade before blending back out to the lightest. I add R20 and R00 to their ears and cheeks. I keep everything lighter than my usual coloring for a more pastel spring feel. I use E21 and 23 for the arbor supports, BG 10, 11, and 13 for the leaves, and then R20, 21, and 22, Y11 and 13, and BV 01, 02, and 13 for the various flowers. You'll see later that my arbor colors match the pattern paper I use. I use the same colors for my other mouse couple and R20, 21, and 22 for the hearts cluster. Then I die cut the hearts and the kissing mice. Now it's time to start working on my Give It a Whirl mechanism. I start by die cutting my arbor scene using the smaller circle from the die set. If you think about the circle as a clock, I keep the cut line at the 3 o'clock position. Then I cut the rounded rectangle from lightweight printer paper, the decorative arrow piece from gold glitter cardstock, and the handle and an additional small circle from white cardstock. I also die cut the Scripty Cheers die from the same gold glitter cardstock. For my background, I used the pink, purple, and teal blended pattern paper from the Rainbow Ever After Petite pack. I trim a piece of the cardstock down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then I die cut the large circle from Give It a Whirl from a second piece of the same pattern paper, keeping the cut line at the 3 o'clock position and using the bottom third of the pattern paper. I'm also using the Give It a Whirl template stencils. I center my pattern paper circle behind the square stencil and tape it in place. Then I place the square in my MISTI and stamp the sentiment from Henry's Build a Sentiment Spring. You can see my mice were lined up on the MISTI lid from earlier, so I was able to make sure everything would fit inside the circle. I stamped the sentiment a few times with black ink and then carefully removed the tape. Next, I adhere my kissing mice and hearts to the sentiment circle with liquid glue. And now it's time to assemble the Give It a Whirl mechanism. First, I fold the rounded rectangle in half along the scored line. If you remember, this was die cut from printer paper and is really easy to fold and crease. Then I apply adhesive with a dot runner all over the back of 1/2 of the rectangle. I turn over my arbor circle and adhere the folded rectangle centered along the cut line over what will be the top half of my circle. When I flip the circle over, you can see how the rectangle is adhered along the cut line. Now I need to apply adhesive to the other side of the folded rounded rectangle. I place a piece of scrap paper between the fold so that I can liberally apply adhesive without getting it on the circle. Once I've applied my adhesive, I line up the cut lines of both small circles and adhere them together. They are only adhered together by that small rounded rectangle, so I use a bone folder to really seal them together and make sure the adhesive is sticking. Then I use a little liquid glue to adhere the gold glitter cardstock to the handle. You can see how it lines up against the handle. Next, I apply dot runner adhesive to the rest of the white handle piece that you can see. Again, I use scrap paper so that I can make sure the adhesive fully covers the handle. Then I carefully pull apart the bottom half of my smaller circles and adhere the handle to the back of the top circle. It will be sandwiched between the two circles. You can see how the handle lines up along the edge of the circle. Then I take the small circles and carefully pull apart the bottom halves so that I can stick my finger between the two circles. I turn over both the small and large circles and then feed the handle through the slit in the large circle. I carefully feed the white cardstock piece through the slit in the pattern paper circle. It takes a little maneuvering to get the hang of the mechanism, but the more you play with it, the easier it moves. To assemble my card, I start by die cutting the heart garland backdrop portrait die from white cardstock, and I adhere it to the A2 pattern paper panel. I save the scraps of pattern paper and die cut the hearts from the heart garland set using those scraps. Then I adhere those hearts over the white hearts on the garland. Next, I add a thin strip of foam tape around the edge of my large circle. You can use the stitch line as a guide for where to place your tape. This will adhere it to your card panel but still give it room to whirl easily. I remove the adhesive backing from the foam strips and then adhere the circle to my A2 panel. I test the whirl just to make sure everything's still moving smoothly. Then I adhere the Scripty cheers with liquid glue. Off camera, I add accents with a white gel pen and a little liquid stardust to the flowers to finish the card. And that's it! I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Be sure to subscribe to the lawnfawn channel for even more crafty inspiration. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, have a fantastic day and happy crafting. Bye!